Good afternoon. It's 3 o'clock on the 28th day of August, 2024. This is the meeting of the Board of County Commissioners for Uintah County, Utah. We are in the commission chambers. We have Monica Hill and Sherry Bolton. Monica's going to give us a prayer and Sherry's going to give us the pledge. Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe. I love volunteerism. Come on up to the microphone, sir.
Father in heaven, we're grateful for this opportunity we have to meet here, this public meeting. We ask that Thy Spirit would be with us, and we'll be able to convey the thoughts that we have, and those that are here for business will be able to convey those thoughts across to the commission, everyone that needs to hear it. We're grateful for the many blessings we have. We're grateful for this valley, for the many things that it offers each one of us to be able to make a living and be able to live here and enjoy our families. We're indeed grateful for this land, and we pray that you'll have Thy Spirit with the government, the officials, all of us as public, that we'll be able to work together and do the things that benefits our community. These things we are grateful for and thank Thee for, and do it in my Son Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Who's at this time?
Please follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, you impromptu people. That was great. Okay, we have a report of warrant, or approval of the minutes for August 19th, 2024 in work session and August 20th, 24 meeting.
John, where I wasn't here, I don't feel real comfortable approving those. How does that work?
If you haven't had a chance, sometimes board members can just listen to the audio and then say, yeah, that's
That's
a
what
good
minutes said.
representation of it. But if you're not comfortable doing that, then it can be postponed to another meeting.
If we can do that, please.
Mhm.
I'd
Yep, we can.
appreciate that.
Yep.
Thank you.
On the 10th. Report of warrants, Mr. Wilkins?
I've got warrants from August 22nd in the amount of $404,017.51. This just had our monthly contract payments in it. Nothing out of the ordinary on that one.
Sorry, what was the date and the amount again?
$404,017.51.
And that was as of,
The 22nd.
thank you.
I do have some certified list of claims. Commissioners, the library, when checking back to Sam's email, we found three, maybe four invoices that had gone to his email and not gone through someone else and that got lost in there. They did receive the product. So check number 393919 to Tech Logic for a total of $14,335.
Okay.
And I'd recommend we approve that one.
Any discussion?
That was already things that were in the budget or whatever?
Yeah, already in the
Just-
budget, that the invoices just went to an email that was not being watched.
Okay, thank you. I would make a motion that we approve the claim to TechLogic for $14,335 as has been presented.
No, so I'll call for a vote.
Aye.
Aye. All right, sir. Thank you. All righty. Tax matters. Okay. Go by that. Distribution of state PILT monies. We receive monies that have to go into a special service district or school board or an institution of higher learning. Every year we get this money, and it's always divided into the special service district so far. This year it was $305,521. What I would recommend is we leave it with the fire department, who does get this money originally. They're very good about doling it out. But none of the other special service districts have said they needed any more money. And I know the fire district could use some. So with that, do you have any discussion?
Now, where was it? Was it given to the fire district last year? Or
Yes,
do we know where it went?
It always goes to the fire district, and then they distribute it however we ask them to.
But what are our options to where we can distribute it?
Special service district,
School
schools,
district.
or the colleges.
Okay. I would be comfortable making the motion that that amount of money will go to the Uintah Fire Special Service District. I'm sorry, I didn't catch the amount.
$305,521.
Okay, $305,521.
Okay, I'll call for a vote.
Aye.
Aye. Go pay the bills, Jeremy. All right, Zeke, award and IFB recorders binders.
Hello, Commissioners. Zeke Atwood, Purchasing and Grants Office. Our Recorder's Office was in the need to purchase 1,000 binders. So this was a big enough purchase that required us to do a solicitation. So we did a sealed bid solicitation and received one bid from Plainsman Printing and Supply from Sheridan, Wyoming. Their bid came in at $169,000 even. And I did meet with our recorder, and that did meet all the specs that she needed and that we listed in the invitation for bid, and would like to recommend that for your approval.
Okay, any discussion?
And we had this in our budget?
I believe it was in the budget opener just recently done, right, Mike?
And we added an amount?
We had 175,000.
Okay,
We didn't know what the bid was.
okay.
He said they added 175,000 for the record.
Then went Ty to wonder what that mystery voice was in the back.
Yes. Okay. I don't have any other questions. I know we've had discussion about this and the need for these binders to keep the records. So I would make a motion that we approve this bid from, what was the name of them?
Plainsman, Plainsman.
For the recorder's binder.
For the recorder's binders for $169,000.
Yep.
Okay, call for a vote.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Next is the Comprehensive Safety Action Plan, Zeke.
Commissioners, on that one, I would like to request to table that to the next meeting, which is in 2 weeks, I believe. So just due to conflicting scheduling for the review committee, we just need a little bit more time on that one.
What's our meeting after the 10th? Our next meeting? Do you
The
remember?
17th?
Okay. We'll put it on
17th.
17th.
Okay.
That's gonna have to be a really short meeting because we need to be in Salt Lake at noon, and it's not gonna make it if we hold meeting 3, but we gotta be there that night.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ordinance fee schedule 0826202401. You gonna present that, John?
Yes, Commissioners, we had a chance to go over this in work session. I do have the red line version here if you all needed as Commissioners, you need a reminder on that. But nothing has changed from the work session, so I can give a couple highlights if you would like.
Please.
Please, okay, so under the cemetery department on the fee schedule, the biggest change there is to make a distinction between resident fees and non-resident fees, that there would be a 50% additional charge to non-residents. Non-residents, well, it's easier to define resident. Resident is defined as someone who lives in or owns property inside of Uintah County and pays property taxes. Proof will need to be provided by producing a utility bill or proof of property tax payment in the last 5 calendar years. That as internally as we've talked about that would account for people who need to go out to Salt Lake for like long-term health. But, you know, they live here, they're established here, they've contributed to our economy and our community. There were a couple other changes on opening and closing fees, going from $500 to $600, and then each one has a corresponding 50% additional charge. So I'll just read the resident fees. Saturdays and permitted holidays going from $800 to $1,000. Headstone removal is a new one. Headstone removal and resetting at $200. So that's the highlights on that one. There was some verbiage change in the recorder's office, but nothing substantial on the actual dollars. So I'll just defer to the conversation yesterday on that. And then on the sheriff's office, I believe was the only other one that was requested Nope, we have the ice skating rink too. So let me do the sheriff's office. They're changing on grandma request fees that are charged. Pursuant to the statute, it has to be the lowest paid individual who is qualified to fulfill the records request. So the sheriff's office has looked at that, and they want to change from $4.50 per 15 minutes to $6.25 per 15 minutes. And by statute, the first 15 minutes we can't charge. It's public service. So then moving on to the ice skating rink, as we discussed, there were some changes there with the massive remodel of the ice rink and some things that rooms that are available now that weren't available, so we need to make some changes to our fee schedule. There is a nominal increase on usage, adults going from $4 per session to $5 per session. 11 and under, $3 to $4, skate rental $3 to $5, group rental $175 to $200. School charters is a new one. That's $90 during school hours only. The 10 punch pass is going from $25 to $35. The party room, which is new, that's a new room in the ice rink, is $75. Avaha is a $90 per hour, and then the Vernal Oilers have their rate set per contract. And that's it.
Just one minor change. We actually had the meeting on Monday, not yesterday.
Oh, yeah, I know. That's right.
You were close.
Are we in Vernal? I don't even know where I am anymore.
Okay. Any questions, comments?
No.
Okay.
I would make a motion that we approve the new fee schedule, which is ordinance number 08-26-202401, as presented.
Okay, I'll call for a vote.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Rock Point Cemetery Lease Agreement Amendment.
James Sharp with the Uintah County Cemeteries. This is a revision of the amendment for the lease for the property that is around Rock Point Cemetery. We've ran out of space, so we have to expand again. Through the sales of all the lots, we're down to under 100 spaces left to sell up there. So we need to amend the lease to give the leasee, Caleb Taylor, notice to where we can encroach on the property and make the cemetery bigger and stuff. So that's concerning. So he has been just fine with it in the contacts that I've had with him. He was like, it's great. I'm glad I can farm it. And we love him as a I don't know if you want to call him a tenant or anything like that, but he does a great job. The field always looks great. The hay is always beautiful and stuff. So he does a really good job maintaining the property that he leases from us.
And for informational purposes, it's going down from 14.45 acres to 8 acres.
Good.
And then the lease just changes proportionately, the lease amount.
Yes, and I actually don't have, because this is just the amendment and those clauses aren't changing. I could look it up on, if you wanted. I might be able to find it, but all the other terms are staying the same, so we're only adjusting the acreage. The
Okay,
amount per acre is staying the same.
okay, because it is per acre.
Yes.
That's what I was wondering. Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
questions or comments?
No, I would make a motion that we approve the Rock Point Cemetery lease agreement amendment as presented.
No call for a vote?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. All right. Ordinance number 1204-202301, vacating a portion of a certain Class B road, 1250 North, located in Uintah County, Utah, on private land owned by Christi Jenkins in Township 4 South, Range 21E, Section 17, SLM, and revisions to the Transportation Plan map.
So Commissioners, there have been some recent developments on ownership of property. So if we could, if it pleases the chair, if we can have Jed Labrum speak to that so we can get the most recent information on land ownership, and then probably just see how the discussion goes from there.
I want the commissioners to know we appreciate their patience. This is drug on, and we know that. I feel the same way. And so Christi has purchased the 3.77 acres that sits to the east. She purchased that. It is signed, sealed, and delivered. We've made an offer for the double wide that sits on that road or lane, and I received an email back from opposing counsel today, and they just said that the, and I can read it to you if you'd like, but they're just saying that they still want to move forward with that, but they need to work some things out amongst the beneficiaries of the Oviatt Trust. And so I would defer to you all on what you want to do here. It may behoove, and I understand you can't punt forever. You've got to run plays at some point, but if we could punt and maybe give us a little time to see how that shakes out, that may solve the problem. Are there any questions that I can answer?
I have none. How about you?
Well, I'm just more concerned with making sure we're meeting statute on time on this. If they're requesting the extension, though, does that kind of alleviate us of that?
Well, so the county is kind of stuck between two parties, right? And now with this land purchase, it does alleviate some of the pressure off of that road, because now Miss Jenkins is the owner of that property, and now we're really only dealing with the parcel that has the double wide, and then the vacant lot to the east that is on the corner of, I want to make sure I get the roads right, 3000 West and 1250 North.
As far as I know, it's not vacant, though. It's owned by the old Oviatt home. It's in that property, and it has the frontage on 3000 West.
When I talked to Kazir, and Deanna's here, that is it's a separate parcel, and its frontage comes off at 1250 is what Matt Kazir told me. Yeah, if we could, I want to make sure we're clear on that.
Yeah, it might have changed, but my last recollection, last meeting
If
on
the
this,
vacant
it
lot
was-
is what I think is the vacant lot, if it is land attached to the other parcel, then we're only concerned about the double wide.
And as far as, I will double check right now, but as far as I know, it is part of
Okay,
that
yeah, let's
property along
verify that.
3000 West. Oh, sorry, I was to the wrong one.
I mean, ultimately, what I'm saying doesn't really matter because we still have to deal with the property on the double wide.
Yeah.
So that vacant land.
So
can you
this
just-
right
Can you
here?
just highlight that so I can see the,
That belongs to the white.
there we go,
Oh.
okay. Yeah, so the double wide, its access is 1250. That decision to split that parcel out was about 1.5 years ago, 2 Februaries ago, I believe. And so right now, that lot is currently enjoying and relying on that prior decision. Of course, if the Jenkins buy that parcel, which Mr. Labram is saying they're in discussions with, then same thing. If Jenkins and the other landowners want the road vacated, then they all sign off on it and we're good. If they end up not purchasing that lot, then there's still that question, does that lot have legal access? So one thing that Jed and I talked about, can you put, Deanna, thanks for pulling that up. Can you put the cursor right on the property line behind the double wide and the parcel that
Right here.
Jenkins just purchased? Yeah. So my advice before was, in order for the lots to have legal access and be able to get to their property and enjoying the public road, which is currently on the map, and I understand there are disputes on that, was to take the road vacation 90 feet past that property line and then vacate from there back. That way that parcel would still have that access. But now that Jenkins is the legal owner of that property, if her request is still, vacate it all, then that extension obviously isn't applicable anymore. But we would be looking at still needing to provide that access to that double wide. So there's a couple things we could do. Mr. Labram is asking for this to be tabled to give the parties time to see if they can work out the purchase of that property. Of course, as far as the county goes, that means the file's still sitting on a desk, right? And the remaining property owners aren't getting any final decision to know what's going on. It just continues to be moved. The other thing we could do is, although it's contrary to my legal advice, is grant the vacation, vacate it all, but then we have a parcel there that doesn't have public access. Or another option would be, we do kind of the same thing that I have been advising, is we look at the east property line of the double wide, take the road vacation to whatever distance they need to have that legal access, and we vacate west from there. So we basically just move that line east. Then if we do that, there is partial vacation. It would help the Jenkins to not have traffic going all the way down the lane, at least to some extent. Again, I know these aren't perfect solutions. There is nothing prejudicial about denying a road vacation if somebody wants to come in later on and then request a vacation, the same exact vacation. There's nothing in statute that says you have to wait 2 years or you have to wait some period of time. They could come in and say, change of circumstances, we now own that parcel, can we vacate the road? And there wouldn't be anything that is like the thumbs put on the scale one way or another against that request. The other thing, if we didn't want to split it that way, we could make the road vacation then contingent on the acquisition of Jenkins to that property, put a 6-month tickler or something like that in our calendar and on the road vacation ordinance. And if they acquire it, then it gets taken off the map. If they end up not acquiring it, then the vacation is void to a certain level. So there's a lot of different things we could do here. I'm just throwing out as many options as I can think of. Of course, we have interested parties here who some of them may have heard some of those options from. Jed and I talked earlier today, but I don't know how much communication you've been able to have with your client concerning all these options. So I'm just kind of throwing it out there to see what people are thinking.
I like the idea of, if possible, if we're not violating anything, waiting for them unless someone else is saying, no, you need to make a decision, then I wouldn't have a problem waiting to see how this works out. And if they're requesting that, basically, they're the ones that asked for the vacation and they're asking for the extension, then I wouldn't have a problem with doing that.
It might be good to find out what
You get it.
I know that the trust I don't know if anybody here is from the trust,
Oh,
so.
ta-da!
Perfect timing.
Do you want to catch him back up now?
Well, right now, we're discussing whether or not, because there seems to be some negotiation going on the purchase of the parcel that has the double wide on it. The Jenkins are asking if we could table this again to give the parties some time.
Are you okay if I just tell you, give you an update? So I'm TJ Batty, and I'm executive for the trust. We sent over the proposal that Mrs. Jenkins and Jed Lebram sent over to the beneficiaries. It was accepted by one of the beneficiaries, however rejected by the two others. Actually, the two others who had reached out to the commissioners and said that they don't acknowledge this 1250 North as being a road. So, as an executive of the trust, I'm not going to force anything that the beneficiaries are going to be against, because if I put my hiney out there, nobody is going to stand up to protect me, right? And so we're just at a lock that this is what Mrs. Jenkins has offered. This is what Philip and Joelle are rejecting. So, what do you want me to do? So.
Okay. Do you think we can have this settled by October 1st? That's a yes or no question.
And there's another mic, I think.
Right
Ty, do you
there.
still have that mic?
No.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Sorry. I'm Christi Jenkins. There's been a lot of moving parts in this, and not always the truth being told. I have spoken with Philip and Joelle, and they don't hear of the offers being made. The last offer they heard was the $240,000 that was revoked because of the sewer hooked into the big home and due to the covenant on the property that is still not resolved. With that, the Whites have offered an easement on the south side of my lane going up on their original, and Marietta declined it, rejected the offer. They were going to trade for that right of way for a strip in the back, and she said, no, if you want the property, you buy the property. And was not willing to work with the Whites. She has rejected my offer on the first go around, and I asked to please vacate the road, because if this is tied up in a lawsuit on the modular, then I would be more than happy to work with the beneficiaries later on down the road. I feel that why am I the one buying my way out of my own property? Why is it on me to buy the field to save my property? Why is it on me to buy the modular to save my property when I didn't cause the boundaries? When I didn't cause, they had a legal access. They had an easement into their home. I didn't take that from them. They never had one. I have a preliminary title search from 1951 when Effie Caldwell started to break down all of these properties. From each ownership to ownership, there's an easement on that lane, and I have those in my record. There's not an easement from the Oviets because they never had one. They never needed one because they had their own. Why is it on me to have to buy Marietta out of her problem that she created? I still haven't been provided with the documentation from the county claiming that it was a road in 1974, when last month Mr. Hackford moved in 1976 and put the road in, the lane. I talked to a handful of people here today and they said, it's a private road. My husband, when we moved in there, said, come fix it. And they're all, oh, well, it's not on our maps. It's a private road. When did it become a county road? That's all I have ever asked, is when it has become a county road, and I've never been proven or shown that evidence. All of my documentation show that it's my property, that it's never been deeded over to the county. That's all I've ever asked. You know, they cut the lock off my gate because now they're concerned about the fire truck not being able to get up there. That was a concern of mine a year and a half ago. But now I put a gate up and it's a big deal. That lane does not allow you to pass. If you've got one coming down, you wait at the bottom or you wait at the top. I was locked in my home the other day because there was power trucks on my lane. I couldn't get past them. So I'm locked in my house, for an hour or so while they fix stuff on the lane. I just ask you to please vacate my road, and I will work later on with the beneficiaries when that gets settled. I have purchased, I feel, more than my share to help save and to help put this to rest, because it has been ongoing and it's very stressful. But I ask you to please look at serious consideration on vacating, because it is not a county road. Thank you.
Thank you. TJ, make it short.
TJ Batty again. I appreciate the emotions that are involved, and I'm so far removed from this. However, according to Mr. John Sturmer, that had to be a road, like a road, for that house to be built where Mrs. Jenkins is currently living back when that home was built. And so we have someone who wanted the benefit of it being a public road when it benefited her directly. However, now that there's other people who can benefit from it, that'll be to her inconvenience. She's wanting the road to be vacated. And so, am I remembering correctly, Mr. Sturmer, on that?
Well, so, and this is coming from community development, they did the research on it, that back when the Jenkins lot was created, flag lots were not allowed. So it needed to have access to it. There needed to be a B road going to it.
So when that house was built, that had to be a road for the permitting to be allowed to build that house.
According to researching the old county ordinances, yes.
Okay. And so what's good for the gander is good for the goose, as the saying goes. And so we can't say, oh, someone else is going to benefit from this. Well, it ain't no road no more. Like, you know, I just like that to be brought forward to the commissioners, that it was those who are applying for a vacancy to be allowed, when this benefited them directly, they were fine with it. Now that it's going to benefit someone else, that's where we're having the issue and the request to vacate a road.
I do have a permit to occupy. They gave me the building permit and they gave me an occupancy permit, all on a private lane. It's in my deed of trust.
So, yeah, the mics have to stay on.
This has been going on for quite a while. And unfortunately, we don't have the people that were here working at the county that were working back then that could tell us.
Do you have anything else, Tinder?
Commissioners, I apologize. I was wanting some time, and when Christi sat there, she just said, "I've had enough." And she stood up and she just said what she said. So I'm a little surprised as well. But in ways, I'm not surprised at all. I made my arguments last month, and I don't move from those. A road is only created in two ways, and that has not occurred here. And I agree with some of the other statements that Christi stated. I stated those in the last meeting last month or 2 months ago, and discussed the fact that there is an occupancy permit. The county is fine with the house being there. And I don't know what happened back in 2001, but I know what's happened since then, and I know what happened before then, and that's the public hasn't used that road. All due respect, but the Ovietts knew what they were doing. They laced themselves into these boots. They've known when they started selling property to other people and pushing sales and things like that, they knew. What Christi is describing is the Ovietts had access to that double wide. It was through their own property, but they sold that to another individual. And I believe it was to try to hem everybody in and force the issue. But legally speaking, that's not a road. It really isn't. And so if a decision is made today, rather than moving this out, I feel very strongly, and my firm legal opinion is that is in no way, shape, or form a public road. That property belongs to Christi Jenkins, and in America, we don't give people's stuff to other people. We can't. It's against the Constitution. It's against our values. And that's all I'd say. And I appreciate your patience through this process and everything else. Thank you.
Quentin Johnson. I was not here for this. I'm here on another deal later on. I was at the road department when these transactions took place. I worked at the road department for over 20 years. We never once acknowledged that lane as a county road. I remember they wanted us to do work on that road, and we couldn't because it was not acknowledged as a county road. At the time I was there, it never even showed on our maps. I just thought I would throw that in. Sonia said nobody was here that worked at the county at that time. I was.
And a correction, it has been on the county maps, except for 1 year. So that part isn't correct. Commissioners, the bottom line is 1.5 years ago on this parcel, a decision was made. That parcel is relying on that decision, and the time to challenge that decision has run. Its statute of limitations are gone. So it puts the county, and that's on parcel, the 030 parcel, the one with the double wide. So in order to make sure that that decision is honored, it really, at this point, it almost just doesn't matter what has happened in the past, going back even to the time of homesteading. It doesn't matter because there was a decision that was made and it's been relied on, and the time to challenge it is over. Has been over for quite some time. So unless the parties can work out some type of a deal there, that parcel enjoys public access based off of that decision from 1.5 years ago. That's why I'm coming to the commission saying if we move the line back where it was 90 feet for the 031 parcel, which Ms. Jenkins has now acquired, and we move that line back to the east, to still provide legal access to the 030 property, then that's where the 030 property and the 029 property would have to deal with any of the public traffic coming down. Ms. Jenkins would not have to deal with the public traffic. She would be perfectly okay putting a gate there at that point and providing access to her neighbors that have their easements and can shut it off right there. And I think that alleviates a lot of the concern that I'm hearing, and legitimate concern from Ms. Jenkins on it. So that's where my office is viewing this. I know it's hard for people to not want to keep bringing up maybe what did or did not happen for the past 40 years or whatever. But the clock for that parcel was reset in 2023, meaning the 030 parcel. But doing it this way would allow Ms. Jenkins to put up that gate at her property line, and then people wouldn't be coming up her lane and going down her driveway, and all the very legitimate concerns that she has raised through this whole time, that people are turning around in her driveway and stuff like that.
I feel like we're held to what the county has done prior. I mean, if we vacate the whole road, we're going against what we agreed to do a year and a half ago? Is that what I'm hearing?
That decision that was made, yes.
Because we approved that through the county, now we're going back and saying we're not approving that and we're vacating the road. Is that basically what you're saying?
And unless parcel 030 agrees to that, like the other parcels down the lane have, and it's recorded and that's all good, then yes, people are staring at us from both directions. We have Ms. Jenkins who is looking at us going, hey, on all the concerns that she's raising. And then we have the owner of 030 that is also saying this decision was made, appeal period has passed. I have access to this parcel.
You said one of the options was we could say we vacate contingent on giving like 6 months to see if they can work something out on that parcel. Even she could, if we vacate, she could give an easement.
So I can have the cursor for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Ms. Jenkins could do an easement if we vacate. She could give an easement to that property, correct? If we vacate.
Do you want to use that mic and I can be here by the cursor?
I can do that.
Would that work?
So, I agree with Mr. Sturmer. The county is in a pickle here. From my point of view, I think that Christi's not wrong when she says she didn't bring this.
Yeah.
I think that Christi is correct. In fact, I know she's correct in the fact that she said she didn't start this fight. She didn't bring this to her doorstep. It came to her. She did not go and ask for this to be subdivided or a minor subdivision to be done. In fact, there were adjustments to the minor subdivision on the same day that we filed the vacation request last October. They know that that's not a road. They push something through, and then that's what they're depending on. There's one difference between what we're talking here. There are civil remedies if that road is vacated. Then they have remedies to be able to try to get through their own property. They had an easement. They had. The other problem we're talking right here, they don't have any utilities. This double wide was hooked into this main home as far as what was the understanding? Sewer? Power comes off of the power line, but I think sewer and maybe water come off of there. They were hooked in together. They don't have any way of getting any utilities to that. They've cut themselves off of that as well. And so maybe we ought to make the party that created the problem, they can solve the problem.
They were offered an easement and turned it down.
Sorry, you're able to visit, but you gotta be by a mic. Yeah.
Would you be okay if I address some accusations? The parcels were created as dictated by the trust. So it's not like Marietta and I went in and said, okay, this is what we're going to do. It was set down by the Orphe Oviatt Living Trust. There is an easement that's just the lot in front of us. The Whites are having an issue with that, and where there's so many issues with it, it's like, you know, let's take care of this and then we can go from there. However, the easements for utilities is not have any bearing on whether or not this is a road and whether or not we depended on this road to create access to it. And so as an executor for the trust, I was doing exactly as dictated by the trust to do. And then the accusations that we were trying to bust out all of these cells to try to make it through, that's the job of an executor, to distribute the assets of the trust as quickly as possible, right? So I'm doing my job. Just like Jed, I'm here because I'm paid to be here. And I think just like pretty much everyone else here, right? Commissioners included.
You're getting paid?
Yeah. I do bill my clients.
Excuse me, I apologize.
So, Commissioners, just so it's clear what I'm talking about, right about here is where I was advising that line to be. That way, this parcel here would have that access. Of course, the facts have changed there. There's no need to keep that line there. And in fact, that was more, the hardest argument for the county is on this parcel. This was if this parcel was relying on 1250 North to be a public road. And of course, we've heard contrary facts to that, right? And I'm not disputing the contradictions there. This parcel is different than that parcel in that this parcel a year and a half ago was split out, relied on the public road. And so that's what I'm talking about. So if my proposal that I'm offering, and I know it does feel somewhat like splitting a baby back in biblical times, but is to take that line and take it down to here where that legal access would be so that it honors that prior decision. And then any public access coming off would have to be dealt with here. It would relieve all of these property owners and the Jenkins family down here where their home is. It would relieve them of having to take that traffic down, which is a very legitimate concern. In fact, we have a lot of narrow roads in the county where this isn't unique, right? We do have some narrow roads where trying to get first responder vehicles and stuff like that down and turned around and back out, it's difficult on a number of lanes in the county. But that would relieve that pressure here. So to answer your question, if I remember it now, there are a few intervening comments, so I'm trying to remember it now, Commissioner Norton, was if you can make it contingent? Is that where
was
your
one of
question
the
was going?
options I thought you mentioned. I was just asking.
Yeah, so one of the things that I did offer as Jed and I were brainstorming earlier today, and we were trying to figure out, okay, what do we even talk about in the public meeting? I pretty confident legally that the county could do this, that the commission could vacate the entire portion of the road, but make this portion where my cursor is to 3,000 contingent on if this sale goes through or not.
Or if they can remedy the access.
Or they can file an easement, but then I'd have to defer to Matt and Deanna on what kind of access do they need to make sure that they have their legal access to the property, all that kind of stuff. But it would be contingent on that. And then if the sale does go through and Ms. Jenkins is fine with the vacation still going all the way to 3,000 West, it goes through and GIS takes it off the map once and for all. If the sale doesn't go through, then GIS, the line goes to right there, and that's what we would be left with. That would give some finality to a decision. It would also take the pressure off of Miss Jenkins, because I know she does want to put, I'm assuming still wants to put up a gate and wants to.
She doesn't. She just wants her road, she wants her lane to be the way it was. It never had any traffic on it.
Well, I'll say manage. I won't say maybe physically manage, but she would have the ability to manage that lane beyond that lot. So if she needed to put up a gate, she could put up a gate. If people aren't driving down the lane, then she wouldn't have to put up a gate. But we'll use the word manage. She would be able to manage it. And then the county would be like, hey, if you got a problem and you're west of that line, that's not our issue.
Where this is being somewhat proposed, and TJ Batty again, so if we needed access to that property for maintenance and things of that nature, would we have access to that during the 6-month period? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. And so if the beneficiaries of the trust,
Because and just to add a little bit of flesh to that head nod, because it's contingent on the sale of the property. So that portion and this is very rough, so don't tie me exactly where I'm putting my cursor. But where that is, from here east would be contingent on if the property changes hands. From there west, then that's completely under the management of Miss Jenkins.
yeah, and I am fine with, as long as that property has the 90 feet minimum, right? For road access.
I'll defer to Deanna.
Typically, yes, 90 feet is what's required in RA1. It would depend on if we're looking at trying to do this like a flag lot. I mean, there's a few different options. But yeah, no more than 90 feet and probably 33 feet minimum into that property.
So as
And my thought, but again, Matt and Deanna, they live in this code all the time, and I can obviously review it and then we can have a discussion. But my thought was to make sure that driveway is preserved so that there is reasonable and good access to the double wide, so that the property can be accessed in a legitimate way. So wherever that line is, that's what I had in my mind.
And so, as this is all new to me, contingent on the sale, so that would mean the beneficiaries, because all I do is relay information. The beneficiaries and Mrs. Jenkins would come to an agreement. If that happens within a 6-month time, then the road would be vacated, correct? Am I
Does it
understanding
have to be
correctly?
contingent on an agreement with Ms. Jenkins? Because my past life, I see other options. And I was going to anyway, I can see it doesn't have to be sold to Ms. Jenkins. There could be other things worked out, I
So-
guess. is
so
better.
Well, if somebody else purchases it and works out an easement,
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, there needs to be provided access. Because in all of our road vacations, we would be doing the same thing down here to these landowners if they were relying on that as a public road. And we would say, well, they're not agreeing to it, so we're not going to vacate the road. That's been the county policy for a long time. But these landowners have signed off on the vacation. So, I mean, this parcel could be sold to a John Doe, Jane Doe, and if they work out an easement and it meets our building codes and everything like that, then really that's all the county is interested in, right? Making sure people aren't getting cut off from their property, and if they do have a private easement, we tell them, yep, you guys are talking, so it's good. Just remember, if anything goes south between the two parties, the county's not there to assist anymore because it's private access.
Okay, I just want to make sure that I understand. that 6 months, and if the trust is not going to be beholding to only negotiating with Mrs. Jenkins, the trust can sell it to anyone as long as the beneficiaries agree upon the sell price, right?
All we're looking at, because my office doesn't care what name is associated with this parcel, right? It's a parcel as far as we look at it. The parcel is enjoying the access that was decided on a year and a half ago.
Correct.
It doesn't matter who the people are, it's the parcel.
So what is the deal that's being proposed about the 6 months? I'm confused.
I just threw out a date because I know the commissioners really want to get this file off their desk.
Trust me, because you're hog-tying me this trust for another
That's
6
all,
months.
That's all I did. I was just saying 6 months to try, based off of my conversation with Jed on some time, but it sounds like,
So one thing I would mention is that, I respect Mr. Sturmer and in his position. Our position is that there's absolutely no access between the double wide and the road. That belongs to Christi Jenkins. And so even if, I recognize that's human nature for us to say, ooh, I don't know what to do. We go here. A take is a take is a take. If you're taking land from somebody, you're taking land from somebody. And that is so narrow, if somebody goes in there, they only have one choice, and that's go to the end and then find a turnaround. And it just jams everything up. What happens here when we talk about easement by necessity, when you have one contiguous piece that was broken apart, that's easement by necessity. My opinion is a court would give access through that front field, and then there's going to be a fight between the Whites and the Oviatt Trust.
The Whites offered an
Well,
easement.
and that doesn't matter. But that's,
But the short is, the trust, because I didn't even know Mrs. Jenkins lived up there. I know that this is trying to be created into a personal thing. I did exactly like we went to the county. The county said, this is a road, this is your subdivision, go ahead and sell. I proceeded, as due by the trust, to sell parcels, right? And distribute the assets as dictated by the trust. And so I'm not understanding, though, what is being proposed of a time frame that if Mrs. Jenkins and the beneficiaries can work something out within a 6-month period, like if it's not worked out, then it is a road
I think it would be
necessary?
more proposed possibly that it be contingent, maybe approving the vacation contingent on
Mrs. Jenkins buying
access.
it?
No, not specific to a person.
Yeah, narrowed down to its most
Access.
simple legal is some period of time. I threw out 6 months. It can be any period of time. But the vacation of this portion would be contingent that access is worked out. If access isn't worked out, then that remains a public road.
So it would remain part of a county road if access was not worked out otherwise.
Okay.
Right?
So that way I could still sell the property. I could sell the property tomorrow, and I could advertise this property as it has legal access. It's a public road, correct?
According to what the county
Well,
shows?
I mean, full disclosure would be that the access is contingent on.
Well, I tell the
order to
buyer
pass,
that
right.
if you don't want to do this, it's okay. 6 months are going to go by. Just don't agree on it, and then it's still a public road, right? That's what you're proposing. I just want to make sure I'm understanding the proposal correctly.
Well, I'm not proposing anything on what you want to do on a sale of property. I'm proposing stuff to the county commission.
Yeah.
Well, I
to
want,
see- to
like,
see if we can
yeah.
work out some type of an arrangement.
May I say something?
That's up to the chair.
Go ahead. Ashton Jenkins. I'm just gonna give my 2 cents on this. Is I was always told that you always pay to half the lane if it's a public road. But if you click on this, it maps it out as part of our property. It's on the map, just like it's a county road on the map. They're both on the map, so what one do you listen to? Because it's showing it is listed out as a private parcel, all connected as one.
our parcel goes half to 3,000. I don't see anybody else's parcel coming half to the 1250 lane. Thank you.
I'm ready.
Would it be, Christi, I may get crosswise with you.
You have to come to the microphone.
Jed, it's just the mic won't pick you up.
Sorry.
That's the problem.
Would, and Christi, you cut me off if you want to, but I know we're in a conundrum here because the county is gonna get hammered either way. And I understand that, so that was the reason I was saying maybe we need some time, but I didn't know Christi. I mean, I think she's emotionally over this. Would you be willing to give it a few more months and see if something can get worked out here? Or you want to just move ahead? Because even if we did the half, the proposal that we vacate 3/4 of the way down and the other remains, unless the individual or individuals that buy that double wide are willing to purchase I mean, we're still in the same situation, because unless they're willing to purchase a right-of-way from Christi or one can be worked out or something like that, then she's still going to say it's a taking. And
I
so,
would really appreciate it. This is just speaking for me as a commissioner. If you would allow us just a little bit more time.
would you give that? Give me
You
one-
can set the time.
Commissioner, give me 1 second, if you would, please.
And while they're talking, commissioners, that's why I was saying, if you take it to here, even if you were to say our decision to vacate goes to here and we're not going to vacate here, a party can always come back and ask for that to be vacated. But at least now, it is 100% clear that the management from here west
Is
is
hers,
solely, and she doesn't have to wait.
right?
But
How much is a vacation? What is the cost to apply for a vacation? 0? Okay.
do we want to go talk out in the hall?
We can do that.
they
Christi's
can move on
a
with
little
other parts
nervous
of the
about that.
agenda.
Yeah, and we're holding other individuals up, and we apologize for that. She just said, why do I always have to give? And I understand that, but I want to give extra time if we can. And we have a lot of moving parts, and I understand that, and that's what we're trying to move through. I think I'm going to advise her to do that so long as we don't give up any rights or anything like that. I don't want to give up, I don't want a clock running on me, and I think as long as a final decision is not made, then our clock is not running at that point. But
They could, another option, Jed, is that they could vacate where the cursor still is and table the remaining portion. That way there's no final decision on that. And then you don't have to worry about any legal clocks running.
well,
I'm just worried that if we table it, then Ms. Jenkins isn't getting any finality whatsoever on anything.
yeah, and my worry is that a statute of limitations or something of that nature runs. And I think that we have to have a final decision in order for us to move. Because if we do the halfway, the 3/4 thing, Christi's still getting road taken from her. She's still getting her property taken. And I want to point out that that home that's just to the north of her lane belongs to her mother. The field belongs to her mother. It doesn't just affect Christi, it affects their entire family. They've all said, we've never had traffic. No one's ever. The UPS man, the home and visiting teachers came, the mailman once in a while, but nobody until those for sale signs went up last year. And then all of a sudden it's been a zoo. It's been a circus. And so, to a great extent, and I'm not trying to call anybody out or anything like that, but the push to get this sold has caused the problem. So, we don't take property from people. We don't take property from people here. We just don't. We can't.
And
It's
we
against the law.
don't take access from property from people either.
Okay, if you're willing to step out for a minute.
Let me speak to Christi, and then we can have other individuals be able to have their items taken care of, and then we don't hold people up, and I'll speak to her for a second, if that's okay. Commissioners, thank you.
We're gonna take a break.
We're going to take a break? Oh, okay.
Okay, we're gonna take a break for 5 minutes. We'll continue on at 10 after 4.
Is it you? I mean, yeah.
They would not use that. They would have access, they would be able to run the utilities, Right. You see any need for that? Issue would be for some reason access.
kid. Or do you want me to sign this one? I think we ought to.
But I can see that.
Yes, ma'am.
Christi has said that if she was sitting up there as a commissioner, she would want time to do this. And so.
Are we back on?
Yes.
Okay. And so we would stipulate to that. What I don't want the record to show is that we've asked for it to be
Right.
bumped out. If everyone mutually agrees to that and no one is waiving and the issue is preserved, then we're okay with that. And we understand it's a difficult, hard, and
And how long did she say?
I think it's just like Mr. Sturmer said. In the legal world, the world moves a lot faster than, a month seems like a day to me, and so, Mr. Batty said that he thought that there was no way in 6 months. So maybe we just do put it on the calendar in 6 months just to maybe review it. Mr. Sturmer, do you know of anything of anybody that's gonna lose a preserved right, or?
I'm just thinking. Well, because I mean, as you know, I can't give legal advice to outside parties. My client is the county, but we do want to recognize and not unduly harm anybody. I think we're fine. I mean, you have the road vacation application before the county.
We do it until we have final adjudication,
And so,
administratively.
yeah, and I
then.
tend to agree with that until there's a final decision. I think we're fine as far as you not waiving, meaning it's not you as the client, you're not waiving any rights. I think we're fine. If we were to table
Well,
this.
we'll and I'll do a little research this week as well, and if I find something different, then I'll say something, but as of right now, we would stipulate to this moving. We'd be okay with it. I guess I shouldn't say stipulate. We'd be okay with it.
You want it 6 months? Put it in February.
Okay, you're waving at me like you want my input.
Until, up to 6 months, so we could resolve it before then.
Absolutely.
Help me, so the trust cannot sell this property during the 6-month period, correct? Because we don't know whether or not it's gonna be vacated. So
That's probably not up to us to say, that's a legal opinion.
Yeah, you would have to seek your own.
So, okay, so beneficiaries who are trying to pay off medical debt, right? Who are expecting their inheritance to come through so that it can be life-changing for them, will need to wait for the 6-month period.
There's a lot of people that buy property with flags on a title report. I'll just put it that way. I mean, people take those risks all the time in property sale. All the county would be doing is saying that they're not making the decision on vacating the road.
But they could vacate it in 6 months' time.
Well, I mean, they could vacate it today. The discussion was, should the county give the parties a little bit more time to try and figure this out?
And I'm only one of 2 co-trustees.
Yeah.
And it has to be approved by the beneficiaries. So I'm not in any, I'd be lying if I said I was authorized to say, yeah, we can do it. I know that what 2 of the beneficiaries want is they just want the money without the 3rd beneficiary receiving their funds. I can't do that as executor, so I don't foresee any resolution coming forward, not because of my stubbornness, but because of the people who make the decisions situation.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All right. We're gonna give you 6 months.
Commissioner, if I can just we'll just defer to whatever you all want to do. That's our final answer on that. We'll defer to you all.
Okay, I'll give you 6 months. We'll review this 6 months or sooner if you get a hold of us, both sides. I'm here to tell you, it will be the final meeting on this.
Thank you.
We will make a decision one way or the other. Christi, hang in there.
Ty, that's a little a ways on your normal commission calendar, but I'll make sure Harley puts it on ours as well, and I think Harley's even listening in, so Harley, please put that on our calendar.
She'll get it.
Yep. Okay. Wayne?
Commissioners, we're talking today about interlocal agreement between Vernal City, Naples City, and Uintah County. We had got together last Tuesday, Quinn Benyon and Keith Despain from Vernal City, Matt Kaziran, John Sturmer, and Scott Hardman from Uintah County, and then Mike Davis, Mayor Baker, and Ryan Cook from Naples, and all tried to work through this agreement to see if we could come up with a solution for it. They agreed to amend there's already currently an interlocal agreement that was done in 2020, I believe, for these road crossings on the Central Canal. What we had agreed to was to amend that interlocal agreement so that it puts a cap on the limit that the county and the cities would be liable for. In the original interlocal agreement, it said that they would just assume any additional costs. The bids came in on this project about $2.5 million higher than what was estimated in 2020. So by doing that, they come up with that agreement. We all come up to that agreement, I guess. The canal said that they would assume any additional costs that were involved in these road crossings. Beyond these numbers that they come up with, Naples City's going back to the CIB. This was through a CIB project. So that Naples City's going back to the CIB and requesting additional loan and grant in the same ratio that we had in the original one, which was like 23% and 77% or something to that effect. So what it came down to, we negotiated with BHI as a canal company to try to reduce the cost as well. We assumed that we're going to get them down $500,000. BHI got back to us late yesterday, said it was only $300,000, but the canal company said we'll take care of the other $200,000 if that's what it is. We just want to get this moved forward if we can. The numbers that and Mike Davis at Naples City put together these numbers based on the percentages. I think you guys have a sheet. I gave Sonia a sheet this morning. I don't know if you still had yours from last week.
I still have mine, I guess.
Anyway, the percentages broke out by each entity based on which roads were in their jurisdiction. It had an additional $92,000 for Vernal City, an additional $170,200 going to Naples City, an additional $197,800 for Uintah County. Vernal City voted theirs in last Wednesday at their city council meeting and approved the $92,000. Naples City done theirs last Thursday in their council for the $170,200. So I guess today what we're here for is to see if the county would approve the $197,800 additional money for this new amended ILA. And that would go towards paying the loan portion of the CIB supplemental that we're going for. So I believe that's a 20-year loan that they're looking at going after for this additional supplement. So, and John had reviewed the ILA and was good. We had one little change that he'd sent to Mike Harrington today, but we haven't heard back from him on it. So it was just a small change to the ILA. We don't have to approve the ILA today, but we'd like to get the funding approved so we can get the final numbers through the CIB and get the final numbers put in the ILA so everybody can sign their ILA. So
If we contribute this $197,800 and something happens and the project doesn't get completed, are we out $197,800?
no, sir.
Who's gonna make it whole?
The only way you'd have to pay that is if the project went forward. So
Okay. Okay.
Well, we're already paying 74,200. The 197,800 is on top of that.
Correct. The original ILA had the county putting in 74,250, and that was a cash match for the CIB portion of this. So if it all goes away, then that wouldn't even happen either. So
Mr. Sturmer, the cap we put in there, is it going to then have the amount of what this total amount is in there, or does it just say a cap?
It would list the total amount. So that's the 197 plus the 74. So two, if I'm doing my math right, which is dangerous on a
272,050.
271.80.
I come up with 272,050.
Is it not? What was 70? Is it 74 and change?
74,250.
There we go. Okay, yeah. So that would make up the difference. Yeah.
Okay.
And it is listed as let me pull this up. I'm just pulling up the new language, Wayne.
I don't know that we can necessarily combine them, because your 74 goes towards the project.
Sorry, Matt, can you turn the mic?
Well, I think the commissioners are just talking about what's the total amount. Yeah.
I'm saying that they're different, yeah.
And that's one of the things
Yeah.
I was going to do too, John, in that when we do that final, I think we need to keep those numbers separate. I think Mike had combined them together in that table, but I think they need to be listed separately.
But it's still a total.
Correct.
What we're saying is a total out.
Yes.
That's
total out.
being asked. Yeah.
But the 74,250 is a cash up front for the project once it starts. CIB requires you to put that money in account when the construction starts. This latter part would be on the loan portion, so you could be paid either through the loan over 20 years, or if you choose to, however you choose to pay that to Naples. That would be paid to Naples City, because Naples City's name's going to be on that loan.
And then, so the other entities, the two cities, have to pay that upfront amount as well? The 24,750 from Vernal and 473,000 from Naples?
No, the 24,750 is from Bernal. That's an upfront cash. The 473 was the original loan that we got with the original CIB, and Naples had agreed to assume that entire loan. That was their portion of that first original agreement. So Naples City is assuming that 473 is the first portion of the loan payment from CIB. So we'll go back and we'll request an additional 460 for the loan. So it'll be a total loan of, I don't know, what is the total loan? What was it?
1.7.
1.7. No, that's the total grant loan.
Oh.
The total loan.
1.25.
1.25 roughly is the total loan portion that Naples City will have the note on for CIB. The county and the Vernal City would be liable for 92,000 of that loan, and the county would be 197,800 of that loan.
And that's the proportionate share, including the storm drain culvert in Naples? That's why
No,
theirs is so much more?
No, this is just for the road crossings. The 473 original note, that was for their storm drain portion.
Yeah, that's
And
what I
plus, there
meant.
was some grant money that went towards that storm drain in the original one. This is just for the road crossings.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Am I wrong in saying that until the interlocal agreement's signed, why would we agree to the award of the contract?
Well, what the parties are doing is they're agreeing to a certain portion to then go into the applications to go into CIB, and they can't make those applications to CIB until they know how much money the parties are willing to put forward. The interlocal agreement will then finalize on it. So I think everybody knows that until the ILA is signed, it's not legally binding on the parties. But they're trying to get that input. Okay, how much money is Vernal City going to put in? How much money will Naples put in? How much money will Uintah County? So then they can do the additional paperwork,
Hopefully I'm stating that right. All I need is unless you want to speak in the mic. But they're looking to say, okay, what do we put in these columns so that we know what the application is going to be?
Right.
But the ILA then will come back and like was stated, I have sent a small change to Mike Harrington. It's not really substantively changing it. All it is saying if the project does need to be reduced, the parties will work together to make sure that it's proportionally reduced so no one party gets hit with the reduction of the project, but still have to fork out the same amount of money. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear in the agreement. But Vernal City hasn't even approved the ILA yet. They just made a commitment, and I don't think Naples has either.
No, we're just looking for the commitment of money. The CIB app is already there. We're already on the agenda.
Okay.
So it's there, it's just a matter of how I present it on the 5th.
Well, just from my understanding, that's the reason we are making the amendment, though, is because it left it open on the ILA as to what we would be on, I guess, on the hook to pay. So this still leaves us open until all of this finalizes and everybody signs.
No, because that's what he's saying today is that would be your cap. You'd only be at the additional.
We're essentially what they need to know is we would say, okay, out of our flood mitigation budget, yes, we are willing to commit X number of dollars to this project, but it's still going to have to come back with the ILA and everything else to then finalize that amount. If the project goes south and they want to, plate it with gold and platinum and all kinds of wonderful materials, then we just don't approve the ILA, and it ends at that point.
I kind of wish Commissioner Horrocks would have been here. I thought that's why we rescheduled this meeting, is so that he could be here, because he has a lot more information on this. He was involved from the beginning and knows all about this project. Commissioner Larson and I were brought in just last year onto this. I appreciate Mr. Simper getting with me and trying to explain everything to me, but I'm a little frustrated because I was on vacation and they postponed yesterday's meeting to have it today so that all three of us could be here. And as you can see, that didn't happen. I would have liked more information from the other commissioner and his input.
So, yes, I know why the meeting was rescheduled for today, and obviously that didn't occur. These two items, 11A and 11B, are really coming down to the commission needing to make a decision. How much money do we want to spend out of our flood control budget? Because 11B is going to be the same thing. There's this request for the grubbing and the clearing, and needing to know how much money do we want to spend. So then Wayne's able to put that into his documents. I mean, if it's $0, then the project will go out how Ashley Central needs it to go out. We'll only get a little bit of clearing on there. If the county wants to say, hey, let's take advantage of the staging and everybody's there, so let's take advantage of that, but we can only spend $100,000. And again, I'm just throwing out numbers. But if the county can only spend $100,000, great. That's what we'll commit to.
And we did talk about this money being maybe coming out of B roads, or part of it or something coming out of B roads in a Monday deal. So that was, the clearing and grubbing would be flood control, but this could be, and John said, you said you had some concerns one way or the other with that B road.
We would just need to make sure that it ties to the actual integrity of a B road, right? So if we're showing that there's...
Also, we can do B roads because B roads is a 10-year commitment, and I'm doing a 20-year loan.
Oh.
So.
Well, there's that.
Yeah, unless you give me a lump sum.
Yeah.
Give me a lump sum, then we're good.
Or paid over 10?
That's what you want to do, yeah.
Okay.
Have to be within 10 years.
Go ahead, sir.
Keith Despain, Vernal City Public Works Director. In the meeting, Commissioner Horrocks was there. We had the discussion Wayne discussed earlier. Very unifying discussion. We all felt that we had come to a good position. All of the entities that were there, I can't speak for Commissioner Horrocks, but as the city council in our last meeting did approve the amounts that have been stated. The ILA, the revised ILA would again need to come back to the city council for approval. Our next meeting would be September 18th where we could do that, but as far as the substance that's been discussed, the city has committed those funds so that the CIB application could go forward to request the additional funding, just so you know where the city is.
Okay,
Thanks, Keith.
thank you.
Anything further?
No, so we're approving an amendment, or we're not even approving that
No,
today?
what the request for today is to hopefully set the dollar amount cap that
For the
will go into
interlocal.
this project. The agreement itself will come back at another date. And I want it obvious in this room that Uintah County is trying really hard to work with some of the named parties on this project. And we would appreciate the same on other things that we're trying to do.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I guess then I'm making a motion to approve the amount, correct?
It would be an amount, and it's, yes. And if you want the motion to say it's contingent on, then the approval of the ILA at a future date, just so it's clear. But yeah, that's everybody's understanding, yes.
I would make that motion that we approve up to $272,050 total, with $74,250 upfront cash for match, and the $197,800 would be payable over 20 years possibly. Okay, over the 20-year term. With that to be, it wouldn't be ratified, I guess, at a later date with an official interlocal agreement
You could say it would be formalized in an ILA.
and that.
Okay.
I'll call for a vote.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, moving right along, Wayne. Next.
Next one is for the clearing and grubbing of the flood channel. We'd spent numerous meetings and times talking about this. We met with John and Scott Hardman. We spent a full day walking the canal, deciding where would be good places to clear, where we could save some money, not clear, those kind of things. Through that agreement, we put it into our bid documents. It's specifically stated which stations we're doing what clearing through. That bid come back in at, gotta get my glasses on here. $906,315 from BHI for that additional clearing and grubbing that we talked about. On this portion of it, the NRCS does pay 75% of that cost. So that leaves the balance for the county would be $226,579. And that's basically clearing everything from the canal to the street, wherever it runs along a street. And then the majority of the rest of the canal is cleared from the center line on the opposite side of where the pipeline is for 20 feet, any dead or dying trees and any trees leaning into the canal. And also talked about coordination with the county on those trees. And so as we're going through that clearing, we'll need some coordination with probably Scott or whoever you want to kind of put there to coordinate some of that. Because there was some areas where we had some homes and different things like that we didn't, I think the commissioners wanted to have some say that we don't take out some trees in people's backyards and stuff like that, so.
And there was kind of a wait and see on, especially where it's abutting homes. I mean,
right.
The property owners, with the amount of water they're putting on their property, it may keep those trees alive, right? Or they may up the water because they want to keep the trees alive.
Right. So that was in the contract with the contractor that they would coordinate those with the county as we went through this clearing too. So the county has a say on those trees and stuff, so.
Any other information that was discussed Monday?
Not really on Monday. This item actually didn't receive a whole lot of attention on Monday. But from previous meetings, and I think you were in there, you heard back from Scott and myself that there are certain groves that we actually think probably will stay alive, because there's evidence right now where you look at the topography, we don't know why certain trees are staying alive, and they're very, very robust groves of trees. So that's kind of the approach that we were looking at. But we definitely need to clear. There's definitely areas that need to be cleared out. There's line of sight issues where we can't even look into to see if there is even an impediment in the canal channel. So we got to get that stuff cleared out so Scott can do his job. So then the question is, can we afford to do it all now? Kind of back to what I was saying earlier, Commissioner Norton. What can we afford now, or do we then make the decision that, well, we can only afford this amount, knowing that sometime in the future other trees will need to be cleared out, because that maintenance just has to get done on the canal channel.
I know we talked about it previously, and I talked with Mr. Simper about it this morning, that the original understanding was 400 and something thousand was just to clear the canal, though, correct?
Correct, yeah, that was just kind of to shape the canal and clean the bottoms and stuff out of the canal.
I thought we had talked, though, about, I was thinking in my head that we had talked about something about not doing a certain section in lieu of trading it for this clearing kind of thing. And so I had that in my head when I heard this new number. I was a little taken back, I guess to say, because I thought, like, from where we started down to, I believe it was 2500 West, we had said something about not doing anything with that, so that we saved that money to help transfer that when we had to clear trees up on the bank, and offsetting that a little bit.
We still was clearing the canal bottoms, the stuff out of the canal bottom through that section. We just weren't going up on the other bank and clearing those trees on the opposite side of that bank.
That's what I was trying to remember from our
we still were doing
previous discussion.
basically cleaning out the bottom of the canal and the stuff that's in the canal itself so that the channel's clear. We just weren't going to take those additional trees and stuff that's on the opposite side. So
That also includes the area where you guys are going to deviate from the canal right now. We're going to keep that as a flood control. And
correct.
doing this grubbing,
There's two areas on the canal where we deviate out of our easement. Those areas won't be cleared or grubbed through those sections. So, and we did talk to the contractor and told them there may be a possibility that the county, while they're there working, would want them to maybe do some stuff in those two sections as well, and they were willing to do that also. So,
okay. Any further discussion?
And this would come out of flood control money as well, correct?
That amount is already actually budgeted in the 2024 budget.
This 226?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay, no. I would make a motion that we approve the clearing and grubbing at an amount of our portion would be $226,579.
Okay, I'll call for a vote.
Aye.
The one thing is that is in coordination as we then get on the ground, because there will be places that they'll need to call up, right? So yes, it's approving the amount, but the actual bill, again, it's not going to exceed that amount, but there may be parts that once we're on the ground actually looking at it going, yeah, we don't need to clear this quarter mile. Then that cost wouldn't be incurred.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it could be up to $226,579.
Does that make sense?
I believe so. I mean, it was a lump sum bid in the contract, but I don't know how. I'm sure BHI would be willing to negotiate those areas if we decide not to. So.
Yeah.
All right, sir, you got number 3 too, see?
Okay, this is the most important one.
Did that get?
Yeah, I said aye, just as you spoke.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's
You
why I
got
didn't
an
hear
all
it.
in.
Yeah.
Okay.
The last one is the notice of grant and agreement award from the NRCS. This is just the notice that we've been awarded the grant from the NRCS. Just needs the chair's signature on it. This is for the $14,689,011 that's coming from the NRCS to move forward with our project. So
You said 14,689,000?
$14,689,011.
Oh. And that is not included in what we were just talking about with the cuts, right? Or is that part of this?
This grant was, you may not remember, I don't know how to remember, but probably almost a year ago now, we came in with a request for funding for this project, and it's taken the NRCS this long to get the funding put together and pull together and get the notice of grant. So this isn't going to be the total amount, hopefully, but we've spoke with NRCS. They're aware that the project bid quite a bit higher than what we had anticipated. They said that currently they don't have any money in their budget to cover any additional costs, but maybe next spring or next summer as we're moving forward, when they get their new budgeting and stuff, they would have that additional funding to cover some more, but they couldn't guarantee us anything at this time, so.
So if that does reduce what would have to be paid by all the other entities involved, would that reduce ours on this as well? On our road cut?
Currently, it's leaving the canal company having to come up with about $4 million, and so we're hoping that through this, we can get, they'll only go up to 75%, and so we're planning on the 75% covering everything else, but we don't know if we're gonna be able to get any more from NRCS or not. They would still only cover the 75, you would still have to do the 25%, so.
Okay, any further discussion?
What was the overall bid?
19,447,494.50. That's just BHI's portion. There's actually more money that we have to put in besides that as well. We got couple of screens we got to purchase. The canal company's liable to move the power poles, which we're going to be coming back to county to help. Not money, but using your agreements with Rocky Mountain Power to move the power poles out of the easements. I think there's only one in Uintah County. No, actually, I don't think there's any. I think the other one's in Vernal City and the rest are in Naples, so. We have some other additional costs on top of this. Telemetry and stuff isn't included in the BHI bid, so the overall cost of the project's a little over $20 million, so. And just FYI, BHI's talked to us a little bit. They're planning on bringing in 2 crews from the Wasatch Front and 1 from southern Utah and 1 from Colorado to help on this project, and they're looking for housing for basically 2 years is what the project length is on it, so be a substantial shot in the arm, I hope, for Uintah County.
Well, I was just noticing on the one we approved previously, our share of the road cuts, it went from $820,204.80 to $3,069,379.20. So we're picking up that difference, the 3 entities, is basically what's happening, right?
With the CIB loan as well. So the CIB loan and the grant that we're going to go for the supplemental amount from the CIB from.
So the 3 million, that total bid now, is part of that $19 million bid?
Yes.
Yes. So 14 comes from NRCS and 3 is coming from us, which is 17. So that would leave roughly 3 million. And Naples that's already included. So the 3 million is coming from the canal company, basically then.
Yeah, we're at the canal company, we figure our cost is about 4 million, so somewhere's in there right now. If we can go back to NRCS and get some more funding, that'll help reduce that, so.
That sounds like a pretty good deal.
We have a loan from the Board of Water Resources, and we're currently looking at going back and increasing that if we have to get it done, so.
Okay. So it's costing the canal company about the same it's costing us for road cuts, basically, though,
Yeah,
to pipe the whole canal.
but that's all the money out of our pocket. That's our pocket money. You guys are getting a big chunk from CIB, so,
Loan,
yeah.
right?
Well, grant too. Almost, total will be, almost 3 million in grant? 2.5? Almost 2.5 million's grant coming from
And
CIB, so.
How much was loan?
800,
Was it like
900
1.2
about
is what you're
900,000.
asking for?
what's that?
You're asking for 1.2 in grant?
No, more. the end of the day, it's gonna be 1 million loan, 2.5 million grant roughly. At the end of the day.
Do you want it?
I guess if you.
Plus, we'll get you by a mic like you're supposed to be, Mike.
Oh.
iPad.
Oh, do you have that white other one?
Oh, not that one?
No.
That's
the
what
other
you
one?
emailed to me.
Oh, then we don't have it.
Okay, never mind, I tried.
I mean, rough estimates I know it's 900 and, yeah, $1 million loan to 2.5 million grant roughly.
Okay.
Might even be more, might be closer to 3 million grant.
So that's where I'm having a hard time getting all these amounts sorted out, because it's 19 million total, roughly, 20 million, say.
Right.
14,689, 11 right now is coming from NRCS.
The million, part of that's engineering too, that 14 million, I
Yeah.
think.
But the total, I mean, they're taking 14 million of the 20 million, basically.
Right, a million 316 is for engineering out of that 14 million, and the NRCS is paying 100% of that one. So the actual money for construction from the NRCS is 13,373 in this grant. So the grant includes the engineering money as well in there. So
Do you know is this similar to the other canals when they did their projects?
no, most of them was like 50-50 grant, 50% match, I believe. But yeah. That's why they got theirs done in 3 years. We've been 6 or 7, so.
But you get more money.
I know.
You get a lot more money.
We debated whether it was worth waiting or not, so. When the Service Canal done their project, they had this same grant, and the red tape was so large, they decided it was better off to get rid of this grant and go with a lower percentage grant with inflation, and we probably would have been better off too, so. But hindsight's 20/20.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
Yes. I will make a motion to approve the NRCS grant notice award of $14,689,011.
I'll call for a vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, guys. Do you have that grant?
I don't. I probably do in my office. I'll look.
I think it's this.
I think Matt had sent it. I don't know if you still have it or not.
Oh, look. Let me just double check with
The
Wayne.
sooner we can get that to me, or is Matt gonna be back tomorrow? Is he?
No, he's gone the rest of the week training.
Can I get that then? And
Oh, is he? He changed his mind then.
if you
Okay.
get that, if you get it signed, can I get it so I can send it back to NRCS so they can get processing it? Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Well, so Wayne, the process is they'll get it signed, but then Ty needs to enter it into the minutes, and then you can get a copy of it.
Who will get it? I'll get it to you. You'll get it to me? You got my email?
Or put it on a paper back right back.
Okay, library board appointments.
I guess I'll take this one since I work with the library. I am very happy to report that we have an opening. We had 3 members of our library board. Their term expired the end of June, but we were in transition with a new library director, so we didn't get it done in a timely fashion, and that is not a reflection on the new director. That is just on us not being able to get things processed. We did put out for applications for board members, and I am very happy to report we had, for 3 openings, we had 12 applications, which I was very pleased with that. That made it very difficult, though, as well. At the same time, trying to pick 3 of the applicants to appoint to this library board. So their term will run from July 1st of 2024 and it is a 4-year term, so it'll be June 30th of 2028. Is that right? And so with that, I would put the names of Mary, I don't know if I'll pronounce these correctly, but Mary Fontes and Amanda Jenkins and Katrina Jensen as the 3 names I would like to request be appointed to the library board.
Okay. Any discussion? I'll make a motion to approve those 3 names.
Okay,
Call for a vote.
aye.
Aye.
And again, I want to reiterate that we had some very good applicants. I'm very pleased with that, and I hope that they will continue to stay involved and hopefully apply again when we have other openings.
Okay. Now is the time for public comment. Public comment is a time for the public comment not to debate. County will listen to the comments made and take them into consideration. The county will not be responding to comments or answering questions. Comments made might not be something the county has the power to act on. This is a recorded public meeting. If someone would like to make a comment, they'll need to wait until the microphone is available, state their name for the record. Please be respectful. There's no interrupting. Please wait your turn. Total of 15 minutes will be allotted for public comment. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to make their comment.
Thank you. Quentin Johnson, Chairman, Uintah Water Conservancy Board. And one note for the record, the Uintah Water Conservancy Board is nothing to do with the canal companies. Upon the board's request, William Merkley, General Manager of the Conservancy District, wrote this letter to the commissioners. I've been asked to read it. It's addressed, Dear Commissioner, Chairman, Commissioner Larson. At the regular meeting held Tuesday, August 13th, 2024, the Board of Trustees for the Uintah Water Conservancy District expressed strong opposition to the Ashley Gorge Via Ferrata project and asked that I communicate their concerns to Uintah County officials. Due to the proximity of the proposed project to Ashley Springs, which serves as a critical source of drinking water for the Ashley Valley and surrounding communities, the board concerned that inviting the public to recreate in and around the springs in this manner or in any other form of recreational development could lead to contamination and or flow disruption. Loss of this water source, either by intentional vandalism or simple carelessness, must be considered above all else, including assertions of positive economic return and the supposed need for increased public outdoor engagement. We are blessed to live in an area of vast natural beauty. Because so many recreational opportunities exist, it is difficult to understand why an area such as Ashley Springs has been singled out for development. When the area was threatened by a phosphate mining proposal, the community rallied around efforts to protect the springs. For this express purpose, the property was then conveyed to Uintah County. The board feels that rather than trying to mitigate risk, Uintah County should explore other options, other areas for the Via Ferrata project. The board respectfully requests that the Ashley Gorge Via Ferrata project be abandoned, that all materials be removed, and the area be restored and reserved as intended. Sincerely, Uintah Water Conservancy District. A couple other things on top of that. There is 2 sources of water for the county, the Springs and Red Fleet. The Conservancy District delivers the water from Red Fleet. There's pumping costs associated with this. There's treatment costs associated with this. The spring is a natural flow, no pumping, gravity fed. I do know that from our records and things for the Conservancy District, Red Fleet water costs approximately 3 to 5 times more to treat just for the chemical. That's not counting the pumping costs and everything else associated with that to deliver that water. The board is very concerned that if we had to go if we had to go strictly on Red Fleet. The capacity to deliver the water is there. The treatment capacity is questionable at peak flows at the rate right now. That's not with the community growing. The board has some very concerns about that. With the Red Fleet water, the cost of your water, the consumers, which is all of us and all the county, your cost would go, how much, who knows? Another side to that is if you happen to lose the spring.
We're out of time.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name is Nolan Jackson, and I serve on the Board of Trustees for the Mazer Water Improvement District. And I have a letter here from the district. Did you guys receive a copy of my letter? You have a copy?
We sure did.
And I would like to read this in for the public record. It's addressed to the commissioners, Sonia Norton, Brad Horrocks, and John Larson, with Mazer Water letterhead. The county commissioners and planners, at the regularly scheduled meeting held on July 11, 2024, the Mazer Water Improvement District Board of Directors met and discussed the posted agenda item of the Via Ferretta project located at Ashley Springs. At the end of the discussion, there was a motion made and passed that determined the official position of the Board of Trustees concerning the location of the Via Ferretta at Ashley Springs. The motion was that the construction of the Via Ferretta at Ashley Springs be permanently halted and Ashley Springs remain preserved and protected from the public. Motion made by Nolan Jackson. Kevin Van Tassel, second. Galen Oaks, yea. Robert Leake, nay. Richard Jolly, yea. Motion carried. As a board of elected officials representing the public drinking water system for the Mazer area that serves approximately 1,360 water connections, we would earnestly request that you as elected officials recognize the importance of preserving and protecting Ashley Springs from any development, commercial, industrial, recreational, or residential, and the public at large. We would request that the project be relocated away from Ashley Springs. We also request that the constructed portions be removed from this area. Finally, we want you to know, and the public to know, that we are not against the Via Ferretta or the organizations that have put it together. It is the location of the project and its potential impact on Ashley Springs drinking water source that we are against, and signed by 4 of the board trustees. Thank you.
Thank you.
Georgine Cook. I'm a concerned citizen, but I am reading for the Jensen Water District. They were unable to be here. They sent a letter on August 15th, I believe, to the Uintah County Commissioners. And it says, Dear County Commissioners, in 2020, the Bureau of Land Management granted Uintah County the land containing Ashley Gorge for management as open space to protect the watershed and underground cross system and aquifer. Number A, the conveyed land shall be managed as open space to protect the watershed and underground cross system and aquifer. B, mining or any form of mineral development on the conveyed land is prohibited. C, the county shall allow for non-motorized public recreation access on conveyed land, and D, no new roads may be constructed on the conveyed land. It states, the county shall allow for non-motorized public recreation, which, allowing current recreation of fishing, hiking, is enough to satisfy the requirement of this agreement. Why open the potential area to advertising the location, bringing in thousands of visitors and taking a chance that it could potentially damage our critical water source for our community. Congressman Rob Bishop authorized a bill, the transfer of approximately 700 acres of land for water protection zone, Ashley Creek, and Springs Culinary Water Source. As elected officials, it is our duty as well as yours to protect our watershed. Under Uintah County Zoning Patent Chapter 17.24, Ashley Springs Protection Zone, it states, the Ashley Springs Protection Zone has been submitted to protect the geological and environmentally sensitive area within the zone to avoid pollution distribution of water sources and to protect other health welfare factors. Just a minute, let me pull up the next page. Allowing 5,000 plus visitors a year into this location isn't protecting a sensitive area. It's opening the door for vandals, graffiti, trash, human and animal waste, and potential of disruption and contamination of Uintah County's drinking water. The Via Ferrata would be a great outdoor recreation for Uintah County, but the location that has been selected isn't the right spot. Many other canyons and gorges would work great for this rock climbing park or outdoor recreation. We, the board members of Jensen Water Improvement District, are writing to you to address our concern and opposition to the Via Ferrata rock climbing park being built at Ashley Gorge. We are grateful. We are against it being built at this location and ask that you move it to a different location. And it is signed by 5 water board members of Jensen District.
Okay,
Can I
thank you.
just add my own personal feeling? I can tell when we have Red Fleet water versus Ashley Springs water. It smells and it tastes horrible. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, I see no one else stepping forward. Your call.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
We are adjourned.